We're in the Woodford Green Beekeeping Association teaching apiary, and this is the queen room section where we generally get our queens mated. As is very well known, I first noticed some problems with queens about the turn of the century, and I've got information on Dave Cushman's website. Now these are dismissed by some people, but in this colony here we've videoed the proof of one of the problems. What we've done really was we've followed a queen from her laying, or let's say 8 or 9 days after laying, right up until her demise. Now, on the 27th of August 2025, we inspected this nuke here and expected it to be the last queen to be mated in 2025 in this particular colony, and we're hoping that it would take the colony through the winter. But what we discovered was that the queen was being roughly treated. Now, we followed it through right until her disappearance, which was about the 23rd of May 2026. Now that's 9 months, and that's actually quite a long time considering the treatment that she was getting at the time. She's really been kept going, helped by us, so really managed through. Now, we didn't know how long it was going to last, how long she was going to stay in existence, and we've videoed every time that we've come here, hence quite a bit of repetition. Now, we've put 18 clips together to make this video. I have to say they've been very lightly edited, a little bit of topping and tailing for each one, and perhaps to remove a bit of banter that very often goes on in these sessions. I've left most of it, or rather we've left most of it, because I want to show that there was no mistreating of the queen or anything like that, and it has retained some of the comments that I've made as I've gone through and I've inspected. So the keen beekeeper will no doubt look at various things that are going on, perhaps on a frame, and as I keep suggesting, in my view, observation is one of the best assets that the beekeepers can have. Anyway, please enjoy the video. I hope you learn and I hope you understand, because there may well be things happening here that may well be happening in your own colonies that you may well be unaware of. Here is a young queen that's only just, well, she might have just started laying, but I haven't got that far yet, but we just opened it up and she's certainly being roughed up by the workers. Absolutely no idea why. It's late in August and you wouldn't think that bees were aggressive towards a queen at this time of year, but I don't think she's going to stay in there very long. She's a lovely looking queen, but the bees are roughing her up. In fact, her thorax is fairly shiny, so they've presumably bitten hairs off her. Now, it could be that she's infected with nosema, or there's something genuinely wrong with her. These are the sort of things that, as humans, we don't always understand. Of course, we can guess at them. They really are roughing her up. Now, in a minute, we just give her a little bit of smoke, just to see what happens, but it's looking as if she's trying to hide somewhere. But her whole body is very shiny, and it's looking as if the bees are bitten the hairs off her. She may well have a virus of one description or another. I'm not aware that queens get chronic bee paralysis virus. But there's a bee there that appears to be trying to sting her. Why is it only just just a small number. She's trying to get away though. But I think she's been roughed up for some time. I can't see too well, but it's looking as if they're trying to bite her wing off. These are all the sort of things that we as beekeepers very, very rarely see. And it's only by chance that we opened the colony to see if she was laying. There's just one bee that seems to be roughing her up. Now the other bees around her seem to be licking her. Now whether they're trying to take pheromone off her or not, I've no idea. Now if there was something wrong with her, the bees wouldn't be feeding her, so she wouldn't have stayed alive very long. But it's the same bee all the time. This is amazing. Obviously she isn't going to live very long. I've got an idea in a minute. If I take that bee off her and just let her wander on a comb, I wonder what will happen. Let me just see if I can pull that bee off her. There's a bee gone now. Where did Queen go?
She ran off. I think she's on this side.
I'm afraid I was looking at killing that bee rather than looking for the Queen. I suspect she probably did, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now she'd clearly been roughed up before we opened the hive because yeah, still looking. Yeah, because she was so shiny. Now I'm looking in the frame here, and there's some brood that's just about to be sealed here, and in fact one cell has been sealed. So she's been laying at least 8 days. Let's just look on the other side to see if she is there.
She is. Got her.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, well done. I've got her.
Okay.
Here she is.
Oh, yeah. Still having a go at her,
Yeah, but nowhere near as much. There she is. And she's still wandering around. But the other bees aren't bothering her now. It was just that one bee. It's Wednesday today and we've got a meeting on Saturday, so it would be interesting to come in to this colony on Saturday and see if we can find her. Here she is. Now I'm looking in the cells there, and there are eggs in there, so she's been laying within the last 3 days. There's quite a reasonable number of eggs. Here she is up here. See, there's just that one bee that was piling into her. She's almost behaving naturally now. But you can see that she's very smooth. No, I don't think she is. And the question was she laying an egg? I don't think she was. See, the other bees aren't really bothered about her at all. I believe I just spotted her putting her tongue out. They don't seem to be bothering her at all. There she is, look. Now I've got a mind to put this back together and have a look on Saturday, because we've got a meeting on Saturday, so that will be 3 days time. Now that's great, because if there are no eggs, then we know that, and we can't find her, then we know that she's she died. But if there are still eggs on Saturday, so 3 days time, then it's obvious that she started laying, or she carried on laying rather. Well, I don't normally reckon on doing this, but I'm just going to lay that down on. No, I'm not, in case she goes around the other side and through into the into one of the other combs. She must be probably gone around the other side now. I think she's in that gap in there. I keep saying to beekeepers that observation is a great asset for beekeepers to have, and it was just by luck that we saw her. But of course, observing what's happening is the important bit. I can't see her again. I think I'm just going to close up.
There she is. In the corner.
You got her. Has she gone through now? Right, I'm gonna close this up. Well, now it's got me thinking, because queens disappearing is one of the main issues that I've been trying to highlight since the turn of the century, and that now gives me an idea that although that queen was laying okay for at least 8 days, if she'd have got roughed up by that bee and she'd have died, that could be one of the explanations for it. Now I suspect, but I don't know, that she's probably got quite a bit of virus. What virus, I don't know. I'm only an ordinary beekeeper. But we'll have a look in 3 days' time and see what's happening. Okay. Now, quarter of an hour after we close the colony up, this is the activity at the entrance, and you can compare that with the one next door. The time is 5 o'clock, and the temperature is probably about 16 degrees, and they're certainly a bit agitated about something. I'm not going to go in there and see what it is, but although they didn't seem to be roughing her up on the frame, they're certainly quite agitated now. And we've looked through probably 6 or 8 other colonies, and none of those are agitated either. So it'll be interesting if we come in here on Saturdays in three days' time to see what's happened, if anything. Now, I was reluctant to clip the queen or clip a marker, just in case they decided that they didn't like that. But certainly they're getting fired up about something. They're not aggressive or anything like that. That's interesting. That is, it's very difficult to work out what bees are trying to do. Their behaviour sometimes is very difficult to work out. The date is the 30th of August 2025. 3 days ago we looked at this nuke and found something that was very unusual. Just to refresh your memory, we did actually video it, but just to refresh your memory, it had a queen cell put in, which we checked, and the queen had emerged and we saw her, and we just checked 3 days ago to see if she was laying. As soon as we opened the hive, what we found was the queen was being roughed up by one worker. Now, she had been laying. There was brood in all stages, but there was only one, I think, sealed worker cell. So she'd just been laying about 8 or 9 days, something like that. And she seemed to be laying okay, but she was very black, almost like the workers that are suffering from chronic bee paralysis virus. So obviously the bees have been nibbling the hairs off her. But there was just one bee that was had its back arched, almost as if it was trying to sting her, but wasn't. Anyway, we videoed it, and I pulled that worker off the queen, killed the worker, so I wouldn't go back in the hive and do the same again, and put the queen back on the frame, and she just walked around almost normal. So what we're doing is going back 3 days later, just to see if anything's happened to the queen. Now, 3 days is significant because if there's still eggs, then she is still there. If there are no eggs, or very, very few, it's fairly obvious that something happened to the queen. Now, about 10 or 15 minutes after we took the queen away, all of a sudden there was a lot of activity at the entrance when all the others were sort of closing down. So what happened? What happened? I don't know. Whether some of the others had killed the queen, and all of a sudden the bees realised they were queenless, and then started looking for her. I don't know. Anyway, we're just going to have a look now and see what we can find. But don't forget, this is 3 days later. Well, they're not roaring as if they're queenless, but these days I'm afraid some colonies don't. Now it's a little bit on the chilly side, so I'm just going to give them a little bit more smoke than I would normally do. which isn't a very good idea if we're looking to find a queen. They seem to be okay. My thinking was it might explain one of the problems I've come across with queens since about the turn of the century, and that is queens disappearing. I've got a page on Dave Cushman's website which covers it, and I mean they look to be okay. Yeah, I've got a page that covers it, so read up on that, and I'm sure many beekeepers have come across a colony that's queenless with no explanation why. Right, there's no brood on that one. Now, if they have done anything with the queen, then I'm expecting there to be emergency cells. Now, this brood here, which is sealed, has all been sealed since Wednesday. Today's Saturday, but in the last 3 days, so she obviously started laying okay. Doesn't seem to be much wrong with that, and I can see there's a lot of eggs in those cells, tend to suggest that the queen is still here. Now, if she is, she will probably be easy to see because she was absolutely jet black. I believe this was the side of the frame that had the one sealed cell, so it's probably the one where she started laying on. But there's eggs in a lot of cells there, so I think she is still here. If so, it's good, but why did one bee decide it was going to rough her up? There's another patch of brood. You see, for a young queen, at the end of the year, this all looks pretty good to me. She obviously continued laying because of the amount of eggs here. Because we're dealing with biology, there may well be a few eggs that take a little bit longer to, well, we say hatch, but it's not hatching technically, it's eclosing. And there she is. Look at her look. She's very black, very shiny. And look, she's wandering around as if she's normal. Now this is absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. Why did one bee decide it was going to pitch into her? This ought to be interesting, I think, from a scientific point of view. Obviously somebody will have some sort of theories and conjecture, and come up with things perhaps from a human point of view, but the bees sort of, somehow they just behave differently than we expect them to. And as I say, we are dealing with biology, and you just cannot humanise biology, in my opinion. But she's wandering around there as if absolutely nothing is wrong. And I think she's presumably looking in the cell there for somewhere to lay. Oh no, she isn't. No, she isn't. She's actually eating. She's supping nectar. Now this is something else we're told that queens don't do. It was that cell there, and look, there's nectar in it, look. So she's actually gone and fed herself. She's now, I think, getting just a tiny bit shy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quietly put that back. Now go back to where we opened up. I said that if you're looking for queens, don't give them too much smoke. Well, she was on a frame with no brood on, so I think she'd probably been not quite panicked, but don't forget she was a young queen, and she may well have just gone on to a frame with no brood on just to get away from the smoke. Actually, I think that's that's brilliant. But these are all the sort of things that you only notice if you want to. If you just go to your hive and gawk at everything, you never see anything like that at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that now for several weeks. Well, not several weeks, but a couple of weeks perhaps, and just hopefully let her get a full brood cycle, and we'll see if she gets through the winter. I hope she does, but you just never know, and of course you don't know what damage has been done to her. What I have seen over the years is queens that are almost hairless and without wings, and I suspect the same thing would have happened to her. She'd have lost her wings if we hadn't picked her up. But another interesting thing is the activity at the entrance, which we've also filmed, so hopefully we're going to put this together as a little video. A lot of people perhaps won't find it very interesting, but if you observe your bees, then I think it probably would. So anyway, there it is, and it's really a godsend that we've got these things like cameras these days where you can video things like that, because of course in the old days, if you'd have said that had happened, a lot of people wouldn't believe you. Well, they may not believe this, but I can assure you that it's absolutely true. So we will try and find out in a few days or weeks' time what happens. This is a nuke that a week ago we opened it up, and the queen was being beaten up by just one worker, and we looked a day or two later, and she'd actually survived. And what we're going to do now is have a look to see if she's still there, because if she isn't, then we can unite her with unite the nuke with something else. If she is still there, then from interest point of view, I want to see how long she will stay. There must have been some reason why that one bee, just one bee, decided that she didn't like her, and it may well be that we're probably going to find some supersedure cells or something like that in there. I don't know. Let's just go and have a look, see what we've got. Now, I won't give it too much smoke. Now, she had carried on laying. Ah, that sounds a little noisy. You can't hear that, but I can. There's a little bit of a roar in there. But from memory, they were roaring last time. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see emergency cells in here. But as I said, it's just guesswork that it may well be why we have queens disappear. Of course, some people deny that's that's happening. Probably because I don't see as much of them as I do. From a little bit of a roar, they perhaps aren't behaving queenless. No brood on there. Right, we've got seal brood here. And yes, we've got eggs. So the lady is still here. Now this one, yeah, I'll actually do this one again, because this one don't think it's got much chance of getting through the winter. It's not really big enough. Well, we do it from another angle, I think. There's been no brood break, so even though she got duffed up and wasn't treated very well, it doesn't look as if she went off lay. There's nothing inside the box there, but I haven't seen her on that pass. I have to say I was looking more for brood rather than a queen. She was certainly rather distinctive, looking black and shiny. But just because there's eggs here doesn't necessarily mean there's a queen. I am looking on the bottom of the box just to see if she's dead. But there's certainly eggs here, and there's quite a lot of them. So if she has disappeared, it's only just happened. You must remember that last time we spotted her, she was on the outside comb with no brood on. Well, we'll check on the crown board again. I thought I looked on there quite well. Let me just have a look now. No, she's not on there. No. if we can't find her, the next time we come, egg laying has stopped, then it would perhaps explain why we're having queens disappearing. I don't normally get in a position where I can't find queens. She was certainly jet black, so she's stuck out like a sore thumb. If she's gone, she's only just gone because there wasn't much space left for any more eggs, so she'd been laying right up to that time. Just look on that, but no. I think this needs looking at in a few days' time. There's just a little bit of a noise coming from them, which I detected as soon as I opened it. I know one thing, they haven't swarmed. My guess is that if we can't find her, next time we come, we may see emergency cells. But if she has gone, it's only been a day, I think. Well, Tina, you're pretty sharp at finding queens, and you haven't seen her. Now, occasionally I hear of beekeepers who say that somebody had their queens stolen, and I'm pretty certain it's this disappearing business. Virtually no bees on the inside of that box. Well, I'm as certain as I can be that she's gone. So I'll put her back. And that could be a problem, not quite solved, but something to look at that perhaps a scientist could have a go at, because at the moment nobody's had a look at anything to do with the queen problems. And I'll repeat that if you want to know anything about them, just look on Dave Cushman's website, queen problems, and disappearing is one of them. I'm not saying we found the answer, but it's a possibility. Much better than some of those that I've been told about. This is a nuke where we came across it. We come and handled it. The queen had only just started to come into lay, to the point where I think we just found one worker cell that was sealed. So she'd only been laying about 8 or 9 days, but she was being beaten up by just one worker. The hairs had been taken off her body, so the abdomen and the thorax was very shiny, and it was actually quite distinctive. Anyway, we took the bee off and put the queen back. She was laying perfectly, or appeared to be laying perfectly, the right number of eggs to larva. So we put her back. A week later, we came and checked up, and she was laying again. And then on the next visit, we detected that there was a little bit of noise there. Although there were still plenty of eggs, we couldn't find the queen, and it's not a particularly big nuke. So I just had the view that the queen had disappeared for whatever reason. That was 4 days ago. I'll now just go and have a look and see. If there are no eggs, then the queen, something happened to her. Now we don't know what. I don't know what. If there are still eggs, then obviously she is still in residence. So let's just have a look. Now just waiting to go in. We detect that there's some pollen just going in, a little bit there, which I suppose is doesn't necessarily mean the queen isn't there, because of course the brood still needs feeding, and that's not the first one to go in. Anyway, I always give just a little bit of smoke in the entrance, not very much, because don't forget we're trying to find a queen, if indeed there's one in there. Whoops. Check to see there's no queen on there. With a situation like this, you've got to assume that the queen is likely to be here, so take all the sort of precautions. I will go through all of them, all the frames. They are just a little bit on the noisy side, but nothing too great. So we take division board out. I will just check to see there's no queen on there. Now after 4 days, if the queen isn't here, it is possible that we'll have emergency cells. That of course will be an absolute giveaway. Now I am going to look on on all the frames, because the first time we looked, the queen was actually on the outside of the box. Interestingly, for September, there's quite a lot of nectar in the combs here, so they're clearly bringing something in. A little bit on that side, but not too much. Now we've got pollen here that they're storing, yellow pollen. Now at the end of the year, I'm not sure what that's going to be, but in having a look at some of the other hives here, they've all been bringing in yellow pollen. Normally towards the end of the year in this area we get orange pollen, which is either fleabane or ragwort, which is really going over now, but there's still quite a bit of fleabane. Right now, this is interesting. Now that brood all looks pretty good to me. So there's no reason why in a human's eye that there would have been a reason for the queen to be rejected by the workers. But I'm seeing eggs here. Now the last time we couldn't find the queen, but there's certainly enough eggs there, and it is 4 full days since we looked last time. So as well as looking for eggs, I'm looking for a queen. And the last time she was absolutely jet black. Now there's no break in brood cycle, and we've still got, I think, every vacant cell with eggs in. So she is here somewhere, and I've just found her. Here she is, look. There she is. See, she's very dark. She is a bit lively on the comb, but she is a young queen. Now this, from my point of view, is great. Yeah. Now with that little flush of brood, I'm going to try and get this one through the winter. I don't really want to risk adding brood to it. I mean, that is reasonably well covered. And I'm not going to clip a marker just in case there's an outside chance that the bees object to the clipping and marking. Now I've absolutely no evidence of that happening in the past. I don't think it's ever happened that I've noticed. But this is all pretty good. These bees, of course, aren't hers, because it was a young queen that came into lay probably 2.5 weeks ago now. Oh, I'm really pleased with that. And at the moment, I mean, this is all nectar that they put in here, and this is all fresh nectar. So at the moment, I'm not going to feed them. And there's a queen still marching around the comb. But you can see that she's obviously had an attention by at least one worker. But if we put all this video together, we will actually see this queen feeding. It's looking as if she's looking in the cells now to see if there's an egg in there or anything in there, rather than trying to feed herself. So I'm just going to put this back and leave it. Now that's strange, because last time two pairs of eyes couldn't see her, and we went through several times. But she is quite lively on the comb, so she might have been inside of the box or whatever. So I'm really pleased about that, and we will try and keep you updated on that one. But it does make you wonder why just one bee decided that she disliked her. In most instances, I think if there's a problem with the queen, they all detect it. Now, going back, I'm wondering if it was just that bee that took the hairs off her. If that was the case, then I would suspect, but I don't know. It probably took her several days to do it. I don't think it had any bearing on her egg laying rate, because the cells were still fairly full. The brood area was had plenty of brooding, and I really don't know what happened there. However, it might be something that we can get the scientists to have a look at, but of course there aren't too many colonies that this is going to happen to, and you know, how much time and effort do you spend on it? Anyway, these are all things that are happening in beekeeping that beekeepers really need to know about, rather than just the sort of beekeeping by numbers attitudes that come out of books and that sort of things, that bees do this, bees do that, bees do something else, and there's almost no deviation. Yes, there is deviation, and there's evidence of it there. So we'll try and keep you updated if we possibly can, and close her down and hope she gets through the winter. But of course we are going to cross our fingers. This is a nuke where the queen was pulled around by just one worker. It's now the 2nd of November. I haven't had a look at it for a few weeks, so I'm just going to have a look now to see if she's survived. Quite frankly, it wouldn't surprise me if she hasn't, but let's just see. And the reason is that surely if one worker is going to take an objection to her, thinks there's a problem with her, then some of the others might as well. That's my thinking, and I've really just kept this going just to see what happens. Hopefully, fingers crossed, she will come out the other side. I haven't handled it too much, and I certainly haven't clipped and marked the queen, because I didn't really want to sort of include the human element. I wanted to try and get rid of that. So we'll just go in here and have a look and see what's happened. Now the temperature is quite chilly. They're hardly flying. That colony just flying a little bit. There has been one or two come out of this one. So I'm just going to do a quick inspection. If there's any eggs there, then I'm probably going to leave it. If not, the queen has gone off lay for whatever reason, then I'll just have a quick look round to see if she is there. What can happen towards the end of the year is that you might perhaps get either a supersedure cell or emergency cells. I really don't know, and it's one of these things that's come into beekeeping in probably the last 25 years or so, and you know, I don't think we really understand quite what's going on. Oh look, it's always worth looking inside a hive roof. They, I believe, are solitary bees of one description or another. I don't know which, but solitary bees, the adults don't live through the winter like other bees do, and they're in the pupal stage. It's always worth looking at inside a hive roof this time of year to see if there's any hibernating queen wasps. Now they are still alive, and they're a little bit on the cold side because look, that one there is putting its tail in the air and it's sting out. Now, if you get a situation like that, then usually what happens is the bees start slowing down. So if you open the hive up, whoops, if you open the hive up, they might liven up, and then you've got to get some smoke into them quite quickly. Now I have to say, they're actually sounding queen right. They're not roaring. I'll just take division board out. Right on, let's just have a look at this comb here, see what we've got. I have to say they're quite quiet, but there doesn't seem to be any brood. No eggs, no brood. They are quite a small colony, and they may not survive anyway. But I'm just keeping it going just to see if how long the queen will survive. In normal circumstances, a little nuke like this, I would unite it to something else. Now they do seem queen right, but of course it could be that it was a late supersedure, and there might be a virgin queen here, which of course has got absolutely no chance of mating. Right, so I can't see any brood. So I think what I'll do is I'll just have a quick look through to see if I can see the queen. Now, I wouldn't normally advocate anybody looking at a colony like this. Oh, there she is. And she's still in existence, look. And she's still black and shiny. Right, so I'm just going to put her straight back, no messing. Now that's really good. Now they haven't got very much food, probably not enough to last the whole of the winter, but certainly enough to get them into the new year. Interestingly, there are some spots of nectar here, so they've been bringing something in the last day or so. And I wonder what that is, because we're in a very rural area here. Probably the nearest garden is 300 or 400 metres away. So I don't know what they've been collecting, and the ivy has stopped. Right, so there it is. I'm just going to leave that. And we'll just see. We'll just see what happens. I know they were still alive a week ago. Still live bees in there. Now look, they're quiet. They're really quiet. If they were queenless, they would be more active. Yeah, orange underwing moth. So let's just have a look and see if she's still here. So I wouldn't normally recommend this. And there's one just taking a poke at me, which is what you'd expect in weather like this. The temperature isn't that great. Now it's looking to me as if they're still queen right, because they're still quite quiet. Look. Now, if she doesn't survive the winter, it could be easy to say, "Oh well, you opened it up during the winter." But you know, this is a teaching situation. If anyone sees her, give us a shout.
She marked?
No, she wasn't. I didn't mark her in case the bees took exception to her,
Right, yeah.
or exception to the marking. But I can tell you they're queen right. Look at the way they're behaving. They're ever so calm. There she is. Down in there. See her? And look, she's all black and shiny.
Yeah.
So for some reason, that one bee just took a dislike to her.
Has she grown her hairs back and stuff yet?
No, they don't regenerate anything. And I have been asked over the years, if you clip a queen's wing, do they regrow? No, they don't. So I'm just going to leave that as exactly as it is, and I'm hoping that she's going to survive the winter, and then of course we'll see what's happened. But she was actually laying really well. Good brood pattern.
You want the oxalic acid though?
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, that'll be helpful, won't it? Yes, thanks, Chris. Yeah. Wasn't much in there, was there? Okay. Good stuff. Well done. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Louise. Well done, John. It's the 17th of January. We gave this little colony 2 packs of fondant, and they've eaten one, and the other one, they're nearly through. Don't forget, it's towards, here's the entrance, so it's towards the back, so you wouldn't expect them to eat that perhaps quite so fast. But look what they've done. They've come up between the frames, and they've eaten it out. So what we're going to do is give it another pack and have a look at it in a couple of weeks. But I have to say that it appears to be doing quite well. Now, it didn't have a huge amount of food, so that's why I'm giving it some fondant to give it the best chance. So there it is, and we'll leave that for perhaps a couple of weeks. So we've checked this colony a couple of times during the winter, and although it's quite chilly now, the bees have been bringing in pollen. So we checked a couple of times, and the queen is still in existence. Let's just see what the situation is now on the 28th of March. I'll just give it a very brief inspection, just to see that she's still there and still doing okay. Right, they say on queen right. Don't forget, always if you've got a hive without a queen excluder, always look on the underside of the crown board, because a queen can quite often be there, especially early in the season. I'm not going to look to see if the queen is necessarily here or not. We've got quite a lot of income. You can see there's glistening honey, so we've got nectar coming in. When I'm saying to see if the queen's there, I won't specifically be looking for her, but assuming we've got eggs in cells, which we have here, I'm okay with that. She's laying pretty well. There's fresh food coming in. They're nice and calm, calm bees. Why that one bee took an objection to her, I don't know. Haven't got a clue. Oh look, she's laying well, look. Now, I didn't clip a marker because I didn't want the bees to have an excuse to kill her, which I've never really had a problem with, but I know other beekeepers have. Oh yeah, look at that. Just one drone in the worker cell. If there'd been a problem with her, I'd expected to see quite a lot of drones in here dotted around. Now, like I always do, I check into see for AFB in the sealed brood and the unsealed brood in that stage there for EFB. But yeah, she's laying pretty well. It's absolute mystery why that one bee disliked her. As I say, I'm not really looking for the queen. So, there, she's still in existence on the 28th of March. So let's just see how long during the summer she's going to last. There's a little spot of nectar there, tending to suggest there's some come in this morning. Alright. This is a nuke with the queen that was mistreated by a worker back in the last year. We haven't been able to follow it through until now because, quite honestly, the spring of 2026 has been very hectic and we haven't had a chance to do anything. What we did manage to do was put a super on top. So what I'm going to do now is just going to have a look and see what's happened. My guess is that that they may well have swarmed, but it's now the 7th of May, and let's just have a quick look. she certainly got through the winter anyway, which was more than a bit of a surprise, bearing in mind the treatment that she got. Just have a quick look under there. This hasn't been looked at for a month or so, I'm afraid. But she must have survived, even if she was superseded or swarmed. I guess the box is pretty full because we've had a fair nectar flow. Well, if that was her laying, then she's done a pretty good job. Now we have got a sealed queen cell down here, so it looks as if she might well have just swarmed. Unsealed one there. So she has got right through the winter. She's laying very well. And this looks as if we might perhaps not be able to see her because she may well have gone. But it's unfortunate that in a voluntary situation like a beekeeping association that you can't always keep tabs on what's happening. Oh, brood looks pretty good. The light isn't none too great, so I can't see if there's any eggs in there. With a number of bees in here, I suspect that she has not swarmed. There's a swarm cell on the bottom sealed, and there's one down the side unsealed. Now, she was never clipped or marked, so my guess is that she might still be here with this number of bees. So it looks as if she's still in existence. And there she is. And she's still got her shiny body. And there's queen cells here. I can't do anything about it tonight because it's getting late, but I will try and come back in the morning and I'll try and reduce this colony just to see how far she goes. But she certainly lived through the winter right through to May. Now I'm surprised that she hasn't gone out because we've got two seal queen cells. Anyway, sorry?
I'm sure that's her.
Oh yeah, it's her.
She is.
Yeah, yeah. She's all shiny, look.
Oh, I don't think she looks as shiny as she used to.
Oh yeah, she does, yeah. Well, if it wasn't, it would have been a supersedure. Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's her. What we didn't do, if you remember, we didn't clip a marker just in case the bees took a dislike to that. So it looks like I'm going to have to come back tomorrow. Well, I will come back tomorrow, I think, and split that. See if she'll keep going. But not that there's too much point really, because you know it's proved that there wasn't much wrong with her. So why did that bee, that one bee, just take a dislike to her? Dealing with biology, aren't we? Bee behaviour, and we'll never be able to work it out. Probably a good job too. So we couldn't deal with this colony last night. Coming back the following day, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the colony hasn't swarmed, because if it has, then we've lost the queen. If she's still there, what I want to do is split the colony up, take the queen cells away from the part that we leave her with, and the other half we will leave one queen cell. So let's just go in and see if she's still there. I'm hoping that she is. Right, they still look quite full. Her nukes can expand quite quickly, and that's obviously what's happened here. There's a lovely frame of brood, look. There was a question yesterday, there's still a queen cell. There was a question yesterday about whether she was still the same queen. Well, I think early May we wouldn't have a full cycle of brood if she'd either superseded or swarmed. I'm not going to touch the queen cells yet. But they're actually not bad bees, so I think we can use the queen cell somewhere else. Just put that in the other box. That queen cell looks okay to use. I think we've still got quite a lot of bees here, so I don't think she's swarmed. I'm not going to over smoke it. And I'm not going to be cutting out queen cells yet. There's another nice one on the bottom of that frame. I can't see her on there. There's another queen cell down the side here. Look at that, look. There's a queen cell under there, and with the bees on it, you wouldn't know it was there. So I'm pretty certain she's still here somewhere. Of course, there's a lot of bees, and she wasn't a particularly big queen, so maybe not that easy to find. There's another nice queen cell on the bottom bar there. Perhaps not the greatest colony, but they're still quite good compared to a lot of bees. They're nice bees to handle and nice and calm on the comb. The queen cell on the bottom right hand side. Now, she's always been very quiet on the comb, and of course they're sometimes the difficult ones to find. I don't know if anybody else has the same issue as me, but sometimes when you can't find a queen very well, or very easily rather, all of a sudden you think you see her just disappearing underneath the bottom bar or around the side. Well, one thing we can say with certainty that they haven't swarmed today. So she must be here somewhere. I found her easy enough yesterday. Ah, now there's a queen cell just emerged. So there's probably a virgin in here as well. I wonder why. This doesn't make sense. Because this just doesn't make sense. Because why hasn't she swarmed if the queen cells are that old? This is odd. And it's not supersedure because there's too many queen cells. And she had all her wings, so she could have flown. But there's a lot of bees here, even though it's only a nuke. Now, because that queen cell was open at the end, the virgin queen has definitely emerged. Not very long ago, otherwise I think she'd have taken a swarm out today. Well spotted. And that is mother. Yeah, see her shiny body? Well spotted, Tina. Now she's got all her wings. So what I'm going to do is clip and mark her. So there she is. And you can see she's shiny still, look. So we give her the Patterson pink mark. Clip wing. And then put her in there. So now what we do is we will put her in with 2 frames, I think, and then leave that in the position of this colony here. In fact, I think what we do is we'll take that one out. We'll take all the queen cells out of here. Now we've got a virgin queen somewhere, but we don't quite know where. So what we'll do is we'll cut all of them out of this frame. This is where a sharp hive tool helps. Cut out with plenty of comb. Make sure there's no others on that side. There's the one that's very definitely emerged. All the others are sealed, which is very unusual. So there's something rather strange going on here. So we'll just look at that side of the comb to see if we can find the virgin queen. If not, we'll just shake them in there, just to make sure there's no more. One down the bottom. Right, that's it. Incidentally, there's quite a lot of empty cells there with no eggs in, so perhaps the queen is actually beginning to fail. So that would be interesting. Let's just see if we got virgin queen on there. These queen cells are quite old. Just shake these off to see if there's any queen cells. No, there aren't. There's no young brood either. One in the corner. I got it. Yep, more spotted. See? Look at that. Tina's spotted. There's one under there. And there's bees covering it, look. So that's why it's good to shake bees off. Not a very good one, but or not a very big one. That I would use as a last resort. In fact, I think what we do is we'll open it up and see what's happened to it. So I'm gonna put those in the middle there and then put some empty comb around the outside of them. But I will actually just cut this open to see what's inside. Oh, that one's younger. Oh, that's only just turned. Yeah, only just sealed, only just turned. Right, so that's probably 8, 9 days old, something like that, from the laying of the egg. That's a later one. 9 might possibly be 10 days. Okay. Right, so I'll fill up the comb, Not the greatest comb, but we're running out just a little bit. And that one's got a bit of drone on, but it was a starter strip. Right, now we'll put the queen back. And oh, okay, yeah, it's all right. Right. Okay. Now it's my guess that a queen is starting to fail, and I suspect that we'll have in a few weeks, within 3 or 4 weeks perhaps, supersedure cells putting up, and I think that's part of the queen problems that I've been trying to highlight for 25 years or so now, and can be seen on Dave Cushman's website. But there's things in there that are happening which are not according to the books. We've got a queen cell emerged. There's probably 8 queen cells altogether. The first one's emerged. And so it's obviously a virgin queen either in that half or that half. And the colony hasn't swarmed. It seems strange to me. Anyway, we'll monitor that up. We came into this colony 5 days ago, and there were swarm cells, about 6 to 8 really, and they were absolutely bursting with bees, and the queen was still here, which was, I thought, quite unusual. Anyway, she was unclipped, so we clipped and marked her, and split the colony off. So what we did was, out of 5 combs, we took 2 combs, took all the queen cells out and left them here, and then took the other 3 frames away to make up another nucleus, and left 1 queen cell. So the pattern of the brood was, I think, pretty poor, and because of the queen problems that I've been trying to highlight for 25 years, and I detail on Dave Cushman's website, I detected that this queen was in the process of failing. We now come in and have a look, and we've got a gap here where you would normally expect to see eggs and young brood, and there's absolutely nothing. So the queen is clearly starting to fail. Now, she's one of last year's queens. She's brought the colony through the winter. It was obviously strong. This here looks the work of a reasonably good queen. Now, going back to when we first spotted the queen, being roughed up by just one worker, not several of them like you would normally get. So perhaps that one worker knew something about that queen that the others didn't do. So it's looking now as if she is going to fail, but she's at least brought the colony through the winter. There's absolutely no eggs in cells there. So I think probably we may find that there might just be one supersedure cell here somewhere. But I have seen this so often, and I keep being told that that it doesn't happen. Well, clearly it does, because here is evidence. So I think probably what we do is we'll leave it for about a week, see what happens, and then we will have to put another a queen or queen cell in here. We're going in here, and I have to say, this does sound like a queen that's raw. And look, they're all fanning here, look. And this is what gives the queen that's raw. Look, you know. Now, I'm not sure. I've spent 25 years thinking about this, and it's my view that a lot of the problems are caused by pheromones. Now, when queens disappear, I think what's happening is the queen isn't giving off a pheromone. Bees don't realise that she's a queen, therefore don't feed her. So I think that's what's happening. Not the greatest comb, but doesn't matter for the purposes of this. If anyone sees a queen, give me a shout. No eggs. No eggs at all. Now, she was here only a few days ago. Let's just have a look at that entrance. Oh, they could probably get her out of there, so if the entrance was higher, she might still be on the floor. So she certainly lived a lot longer than she was destined to. But why there was only one queen? Why there was only one worker that was beating her up? I've absolutely no idea. And look. So there was a drone feeding itself. There, look, there it is. And the books tell you that drones don't feed themselves. So she's gone. She has gone. Pretty certain of it. Right, so what we can do at the next meeting on Wednesday is to put a queen cell in. But we will just try something. I've got a a virgin queen in a cage down here. Put that over the top and see what happens. It could have been, but I don't think so. I think I mentioned it to somebody in emails. I can't remember. That tells its own story. Then we get an empty cage. There's an empty cage, same cage, and that one was a new one earlier.
Now we need to repeat it on a queen right.
Sorry?
Now we need to repeat that on a queen right.
Yeah. How many of you seen that trick in the book? I'll tell you what, if you gave that answer in probably in an exam, you'd fail it. Especially if you told them I told you. But they are. You can. Right, now that queen in there we think is a virgin queen, so what I'll do is I'll just release it and see what happens. So that's it. I'm afraid the poor queen is no more.
Was there a queen cell on the first frame that you pulled out?
This one? No, that would have been a fresh comb put in there. I think it was just those two there that were left behind. Now what you just see, not many beekeepers will see that, and quite frankly it's only by absolute chance that we saw it. Of course, as you can see, we just left it a little bit and then realised that there was just one bee involved. So I just took the instant decision to kill that bee, and quite frankly I'm pleased I did, because what it did was obviously allowed further videoing, which you've seen. Now I realise in the video there's quite a lot of me handling the colony, but as I said in the introduction, what I wanted to try and do was to show that it was normal beekeeping. And I don't think the queen was knocked around or anything like that. Now, on another day, if that one bee hadn't been killed, beekeepers wouldn't know why, and probably neither would we. We would just perhaps assume that she was killed during manipulation, or perhaps dropped on the ground, or anything of that nature. I have to say I'm really pleased that we got the record. Because what it may do now is prompt research, if indeed the researchers are interested, and perhaps we can get the funding, or at least as far as beekeepers are concerned, I think the video will be long enough that local beekeeping associations could probably use it for making their members aware of some of the problems. In going through setting out what I want to be edited, I noticed that there were lots of questions that are raised. I'm going to mention some. Others may well have more. Viewers may well have more as well. Please put your thinking caps on and try and come up with more if you can. Why was it just one bee? Because normally if you get a queen being attacked in a hive, as it was clearly attacked, then others pitch in as well. So ask the question, why not others? Assuming it was just that one bee that was doing the damage, to chew, or rather bite all the hairs off the queen, she must have taken a long time to do it, probably 24 hours at absolute minimum, because as you should have seen, both the abdomen and the thorax were completely hairless. Now I do wonder if the other bees were actually feeding her or not. One can only assume that that they were, or partly feeding her. But on the other hand, we did video her feeding herself on one occasion, and was that because she was hungry or not? I just don't know. What perhaps we could ask a question is, did that eating honey or nectar as it was create some sort of imbalance with the pheromones? Therefore, the one bee detected there was a problem with the queen. I have absolutely no idea, and I suppose these things haven't been recorded or researched in the past, so there probably aren't going to be any standard answers for it. I did think that as the queen was dark and the bee that was attacking her was light banded, that it might have been different genetics that are causing the problems. But then I thought to myself, well, that one bee, she would have other full sisters in the same patriline as her. So let's say the queen got mated with 10 drones. That means that will probably be around about 10% of the bees in this colony that will be the same patriline. So if it was a genetic thing, and she was attacking a queen with different genetics, then I could understand it. But it wasn't. Did that bee detect a problem or not? Well, she kept going for 9 months or so without any apparent problem to us, so it didn't really add up. If that was the case, then why not just a straight supersedure as you would normally get? Now, I did expect that, but it never arrived. Not even right at the end, and she kept going for 9 months. Now the brood pattern seemed to be good right from the very start, right through to the end. So there didn't seem any sort of normal signs of failure that you get. Now it was a fairly small nuke to put into the winter. It was probably, as you saw, perhaps no more than 4 frames. Okay, it was reasonably well covered with bees, but it wasn't particularly strong. But she got it through the winter okay, and then they built up nice numbers in the spring. If she was failing, you wouldn't expect that to happen. You expect it to be a bit retarded compared to the rest. And then of course you put up, the colony put up swarm cells, and as soon as that happened, there was failure. Now they were clearly swarm cells because there were too many of them to supersedure, They were on, I think, most of the combs, if not not all of them. There were too many, and they were different ages. But the thing is, from going from putting up swarm cells to failing, it was very quick, and it was really within days. There were swarm cells there, and one of them had just emerged. So why didn't she swarm? The weather was good. It was absolutely fine. It was warm weather, and in any case, if the weather was chilly, what bees normally do is they abort swarming by chewing the queen cells down. My guess is, but I don't know, that she couldn't fly because the one bee that attacked her 9 months earlier may well have damaged her wings. But I really don't know. I have to say that when I looked at her, they always seemed to be okay to me. Now, I had only just clipped and marked her, and some people could say, well, it's because clipping and marking led to disappearance. But many people clip and mark without any problem, and the key is, I think, that the queen had ramped down laying. In fact, when we saw the swarm cells, I think I detected that and mentioned that there weren't as many eggs as I would expect. Now, there's going to be many more comments than that. People come up with different things. Please put them in the comments section on the video. Now, please don't just blame pesticides, treatments or varroa or whatever, because they are obvious targets. We do need research, not guesswork, and we need to try and come up with solutions, I think, sensibly. Right, now, I accept that I opened the colony during the winter when a lot of people would be absolutely aghast at it. But on the other hand, we've been able to video, and it's a learning situation, because this has been a teaching apiary. Of course, learning is a major part of it. I hope I've also shown, not perhaps connected with that, but that locally adapted bees can be frugal, and they can actually be quite tough, and they can get through the winter in fairly small colonies, and then in the spring they can actually build up quite quickly, as I think you saw. Now, I've seen similar things to that for about a quarter a century. Beekeepers need to understand what should happen. I never used to see that before, perhaps the turn of the century. So look at your bees more closely, and I'm sure you'll find them. And I'll remind you that the experiences that I've had, I've written about on Dave Cushman's website. So beekeepers, I think, need to be aware of that these things happen. This is not just an isolated incident. I come across several each year. Can I please ask you just to tell other beekeepers about the videos and what I've seen, and there's a possibility that things happening very similar in their own bees. Please tell your local beekeeping association so you can get things on the website, a link on the website and that sort of thing, social media or whatever. And thanks very much for watching, and I hope that you've gained something from it, the same as I have.